K-pop had a mini resurgence in late 2016 and 2017, and one of the groups leading the charge has to be BTS. BTS has made waves since their debut in 2013, and since their foray into the K-pop world 4 years ago, they are considered one of the biggest K-pop acts today. As stories and new articles of BTS's continued takeover of the US continues, BTS hype is at an all-time high in the West. Following their appearance on the Billboard Music Awards show and appearance on the James Corden show, as well as a collaboration with the Chainsmokers, which put them on notice with both American and Western audiences, they rode this momentum into even greater opportunities. With invites to the Ellen Show, the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and the AMAs, BTS has actually broken into the US mainstream, a feat that many K-pop acts try so hard to do, but few actually accomplish doing so. Let's take a look at this 20-second-ish clip of BTS Pandemonium on the Jimmy Kimmel Live mini concert show.
K-pop supergroup BTS performs their hit DNA live.
Love you guys so much. I'm so proud of you guys.
We love you, BTS.
So how did BTS experience such huge success in just 4 years? It's one of the biggest underdog stories in K-pop, and a fascinating one at that. So let's go into how BTS became popular in the Rise of BTS. So this video will be divided into two big parts. The first one are the 15 traits, 15, that made BTS successful. And the second is my personal experience in Seoul when I truly felt when BTS was about to hit it big and become successful. So just a quick warning, this video is gonna be long, but I promise to be entertaining and throw a few jokes here and there. So with that being said, let's take a look at BTS's humble beginnings from a rookie group in 2013 to the dominant K-pop group they are today. From the beginning, BTS had a lot stacked up against them. For instance, before their debut, and even in 2013 itself, they didn't have a viral hit or national song. They didn't have a single member that was overly hyped or had a huge following. They didn't come from the big three companies, YG, SM, or JYP. They debuted possibly during one of the worst times you can debut in 2013. And the reason why I say this, it was during EXO's craze. 2013 was the year of EXO, Wolf, and especially that song, Growl. And to have a boy group try to flourish during this time is like trying to grow a plant in the middle of a desert. So the timing of their debut was pretty bad. And lastly, they didn't come from an audition show like Produce 101. So when you include all of these factors, it would be very easy to say, look, you know, BTS is a very talented group, but because they didn't have some of these factors, it just wasn't gonna work. With seemingly every aspect going against BTS from the very start, Big Hit Entertainment, as well as their CEO, Bang Hyuk, knew they had to do a different marketing strategy to get their group even noticed. They knew that with a limited budget, since they're a small company, with limited exposure, since they don't have the brand name, they had to try something different. They had to try something unique, and they had to really think outside the box. So I'll start with perhaps the biggest reason first. The fandom, or ARMY. Big Hit Entertainment emphasized this from the start to have this connection between BTS and its fans. And while you might be asking yourself, doesn't every K-pop idol group have their own fans? Yes, but I would argue very, very few of them have the connection that BTS has with their fans. By making this instant connection with the fans and showing how transparent they were, the fans felt connected to the group immediately. The group trended hashtags, memes, silly videos, pictures, and just words of wisdom to their fans pretty much on a daily basis on their social media. Big Hit Entertainment's strategy was to have a lot of guerrilla promotion. This included going on SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Dom cafes, and more. So they pretty much built this initial hype before they actually debuted, which is really smart. BTS really had that image of cool guys that you can hang out with that also happen to be ultra talented performers. Furthering the strength of the ARMY, you had the Korean fans and the international fans. But a really cool thing is that both the Korean and international fans seem to work together in lockstep. They're actually quite close to each other. And through this coordination of Korean and international ARMY fans, this true bond happens. Every time like a BTS video comes out, the Korean fans would actually translate it to the international fans a lot of times. When you actually have Koreans themselves translating Korean Korean into English because they want their international counterparts to also understand what BTS is saying. That just shows a bond right there. Another example of how the ARMY work together is during the Billboard Music Awards. Now, as you guys know, the Billboard Music Awards is basically a Western music show, and a lot of the artists that win usually come from America, Canada, or Great Britain. This show has the likes of, Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, Adele, Beyonce, and a whole slew of other people. But in 2017, BTS actually won the Social Media Award. And make no mistake, BTS has a large following on social media. But if you compare it to like Justin Bieber or like One Direction before they broke up, or a lot of other solo American, British, or Canadian acts, they have a lot more followers. So just the fact that BTS, despite their massive following, was still an underdog for the Billboard Music Awards Social Media Award is saying a lot. So you might be asking, how did BTS even win if you have other artists with double or maybe even triple their social media following? And the answer is the ARMY. And here's how this briefly happened. So the Billboard Music Awards had this voting period where I think every person can vote like 100 times each. I'm not entirely sure, but there was a cap. But basically, Billboard wanted to encourage the fans of a particular group or singer to vote many times and be actively engaged, and to pretty much show up to support their favorite singers. And as you guys can imagine, the ARMY definitely did. So when the voting first started in the Korean time zone, you had countries such as Korea, of course, Australia, and much of Eastern Asia vote many times on Billboard. And when this time zone had to sleep, you had the Middle East, and then Africa, and then Europe take over. And then when people from these time zones had to go to sleep, then North and South America would take over and start voting while the rest of the world sleeps. And then when North and South America would sleep, it'd go back to Asia, and then Korea, East Asia, and Oceania would vote again. And doing this nonstop until the voting ended, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the ARMY amassed so many votes for BTS, they won the awards, beating out the likes of megastars Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez. And with the Ellen Show, the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and the AMAs coming up, I can definitely predict that the ARMY will be there in full force as well. The next trait is the underdog story. And international fans are all about that underdog story. That with hard work and a drive towards one's passions or goals, that anything is possible. And this is precisely BTS's story. Now you'll hear this theme a lot, that they're from a small company and had limited resources, and there were 7 raw talented performers. And it's a really powerful concept because it all ties into the underdog theme. Can a small company compete with the big 3? Again, SM, YG, and JYP. If I keep sounding like a broken record that I keep mentioning the big 3, it's because in K-pop, very few groups that don't come from the big 3 or a big production or distribution company like 1-K is probably not going to succeed. And another thing about BTS's underdog theme is that each member was an underdog before they became huge. And I think a lot of fans can relate to that. And you'll hear it in both their personal stories as well as many of their songs. But not only is BTS underdogs in their own lives or music careers before they became big, but I would say a lot of us are underdogs as well. Maybe not to the extent that we're trying to be top K-pop performers, but instead that we want to get straight A's in high school, or we want to get into that great university, but everyone said that we couldn't, which hits a chord with a lot of people in the world today. And while most Koreans really don't get the whole underdog story, they're very realistic, especially as they get older. The theme definitely resonates with BTS and their fans. The next trait is that BTS was allowed to be themselves and are very relatable, of having 7 idols that would be themselves, that wouldn't be robots, that can film their own lives, and that would have this more human aspect for a K-pop group. They wanted to have that image, hey look guys, we're just everyday guys that happen to sing K-pop for a living. And you can see this human aspect that they're just like one of the guys, and shows like American hustle, where they went to America for a while to live there. And throughout that show, you can see the boys doing like normal house chores and things that all of us do, washing the dishes, washing your clothes, cooking. And to be honest, just watching this show, you see that some of them are messy, or some of them can't really cook, or sometimes they don't even know what they're doing. A lot of us were laughing when we watched American Hustle. At the same time, we're like, hey, they're like one of us. And I do see a lot of people saying this, that how BTS pulled their guard down, and that's a lot different from other K-pop groups. The next trait, their music videos tell a story, have meaning, and strike a chord with their viewers. While their music is catchy and easy to listen to, I would say their true strength are their music videos. In fact, I would say their music videos and their length remind me of the old school K-pop group Brown Eyes, or Tiara's music videos, which would be like, 6, 7, 8 minutes long, but they would tell this story. Their music videos are more like short films rather than music, as the boys clearly wanted to tell a story and a message. And while BTS's main genre is hip-hop, What I think their true genre is, or true mission statement, is actually to be a voice to the youth. And this is why a lot of their fans are teenagers or 20-year-olds, because that is today's generation, the generation that's growing up, that's considered youthful, that's oftentimes confused about their lives and have a lot of decisions to make but don't know what to make. So some of the themes I talk about is depression, being looked down upon, heartbreak, love, life, anger, dreams, socially conscious songs, being isolated as a millennial and feeling you have no one to talk to. All these themes are very relatable to today's millennia. The ARMY also tells BTS of their problems going on in their lives. And I feel this is a big inspiration for BTS to continue writing these songs because it strikes a chord with their viewers. And I actually feel that people are always looking for someone that gets them in life, someone that can relate to them. And whether that's your family, your best friends, your teacher, the stranger down the street, or a particular band that you listen to, once you find that person or a group of people that get you, you definitely want to get closer to them, get to know them better, and you definitely heed their advice. Now, we can't talk about their music or MVs without talking about the variety of songs they have, so I'll briefly touch on this. I think a lot of their discovery have different beats, rhythm, style, as they're not really just locked into one musical theme, hip-hop. Also, many of their song tracks, they're really connected, and you really have to listen to them all to see that connection. And of course, as mentioned earlier, there's a lot of meaning from each of their songs. And I'll just pick one example, since there's a lot of examples. And with my example, I'm gonna go with Baepsae. And with Baepsae, the meaning is basically how elders, teachers, and superiors today look down on today's generation and say that they think that today's generation is lost. And the song continues to talk about how the older generation always says, back in my day, we had it 100 times harder, and that today's youth has a silver spoon, and that you guys really don't have any problems compared to us. The next one is big hit translators as well as fan translation. And we really can't talk about BTS's music videos or their meanings without actually understanding them. And while it would be nice that everyone understood Korean, unfortunately, not all of us understand Korean. So to bridge that gap, you need people to translate the songs from Korean into English. ARMY has this distinct luxury of getting translations fast. So when you see a BTS video, you know it's going to be translated within that same day. And I also know that fan translators not just translate from, Korean to English, they might also translate from English to Chinese, or English to Spanish, or English to French. So I hope you guys thank the translators. They do a lot for not just BTS, but whichever fandom you're a part of. The next one is Namjoon's English. Namjoon being fluent in English, as I've seen him many times in music award shows speaking, this is really impressive. And I believe he spent some time in New Zealand studying English, but how he pretty much learned English in Korea and speaks it pretty fluidly. I'm pretty impressed. And this actually helps BTS expand in international markets because you have at least one member that can speak English. And yes, if Namjoon didn't speak English, they could actually have a translator translate everything from Korean to English, and I feel a lot of the nuance and a slight meaning is lost. With Namjoon speaking English, he can convey the group's meaning a lot better since, he's part of BTS. I remember at the 6th KCON Music Charts Awards or the 2016 KCON Music Charts Awards, when Namjoon was speaking English, a lot of fans were going as crazy. They got even more cheers than when he was speaking Korean. Just because in Korea, if you speak fluent English or really good English as a Korean, people just go, ooh. The next trait is social media. And I think Big Hit had this cool concept of, instead of every member having their own individual account, they all share one account for each platform. So whenever one of the members wants to go on and post something on, say, Instagram, they'll just use the BTS shared account. I do like this concept of one account because it shows this family atmosphere. It shows this family bond that, they're not really competing for most followers or the most liked member. Also, when you go on their social media, they're very relatable, they're very informal, and they just like to goof off and have fun. The next trait is group chemistry. These guys have some tight group chemistry, they like being with each other, and BTS really represents this close-knit of brothers rather than just acquaintances or co-workers that you have to work with. And with K-pop, as you guys know, not everyone likes working with each other in the same group. And I feel, again, group chemistry is one of the major reasons why people like BTS. The next one I'll briefly go over, and you guys probably know, is talent. talent. And these guys have a lot of talent, and yes, they can dance, they can rap, and they can songwrite. And a lot of their self-written songs have either won awards or had a lot of praise. For instance, you had Suga, who produced the song Wine for the singer Suran, and had success in Korea. Rap Monster, or better known as RM these days, is known to have also written lyrics for most of BTS's songs, as well as collaborate with American artists Whale and Warren G. The next reason? BTS appreciates the international fans. While a lot of K-pop groups do appreciate their international fans, a lot of them are focused on the domestic Korean market. But with BTS, they know international fans had a major part in their success. For instance, when BTS started invading American shores and started going on Billboard and being interviewed, BTS always made it a point to thank international and US fans for their success and said that they want to actually give back to the international community, specifically the international community. The next big trait is that BTS is refueling the Hallyu wave, and Korea loves it. Now, if you guys studied Korean, the Korean culture, or lived in Korea for some time, you know that Korea really has a lot of pride and nationalism. But anything that's promoting Korea to the world, such as its music, dramas, food, makeup, Korea will definitely get on board and go, yeah, that's from Korea. And of course, BTS being Korean, that's from Korea too. And Korea's like, yeah, BTS. And I remember when BTS got into Billboard Music Awards, a lot of the stories on Naver were about BTS. They had headlines on BTS. Newspapers scrambled to write about BTS. Why? Not just because they're just a big hit, because they're a big Korean news hit. And as you guys can imagine, with them being slated to be on the Ellen show, on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and AMAs, yes, Korea is writing on them nonstop. And the country knows that the more that people hear about BTS in the West is the more that people find out that BTS comes from Korea, and then people get interested in Korea, and then people travel to Korea, which raises both Korea's tourism profits as well as its global standing in the world, which in turn increases Korea's soft power, which I'll talk about soft power in a future video. The next one is cross-age and appeal. I feel that BTS is one of the few groups that no matter what age you are or what genres you like, they can probably appeal to you. They really remind me of old school groups still going on, Shinhwa, as well as TVXQ or DBSK and Big Bang, in that they have versatility and that they can hit a variety of demographics. For instance, if you like awesome choreography, BTS got your back. For fangirls looking for a good boy band and wanting to scream Oppa and do all these other crazy things, BTS got your back. BTS hits that mold. They're handsome guys. And for the music fans that want to appreciate good hip-hop or a special meaning in their songs, BTS can cater to that as well. So they really have this like triple threat going on. I also noticed that BTS even captures non-K-pop fans or fans that only like BTS. These music fans don't really like K-pop in general, but they just like BTS because it strikes a chord with them. The next trait is BTS shows that Korean music is cool to listen to in the West. And what I mean by that is, if you're a K-pop fan in elementary school, middle school, high school, and maybe even university, and some of your other friends hear that you're listening to music they can't understand or foreign, they'll probably think it's weird and go, why are you listening to that? But with BTS hitting the US mainstream in 2017, a lot more people are going to hear about BTS. Instead of saying, hey, that's weird, they might be like, oh, I've heard of them before, that's BTS. And the reason why this is an important part is that if you're a K-pop fan going to school, you don't want to feel secluded or inferior, or you feel like people don't get you because you listen to K-pop. You want to feel like, oh man, that's pretty cool, like you get me. Because I feel when people think something is weird or they don't know about it, they'll just automatically put it down and judge that person. It's unfortunately human nature for a lot of people. Not all people, but a lot of people. And the last trait, the 15th trait, is the marketing decision by Big Hit Entertainment not to focus on the US at first. So Big Hit Entertainment's strategy was to focus on the domestic Korean market to make music for Koreans. But at the same time, they wanted to appeal to international fans, but they never banged their head on the US market or tried to force their way into the US market before they were ready. And for instance, they don't even have an English album. Like, all their songs are in Korean. And if you guys have been following K-pop for a while, you know that there's been a lot of K-pop acts that tried to jump over that US barrier, that US hurdle. But the US music market is very, very hard to break into. You know, a lot of the most successful K-pop acts have crashed and burned, and that's not something to be ashamed about. That's just how daunting it is to appeal to American audiences. BTS never tried banging their head onto the American market. The US came calling first, and that's why now BTS can go to the US. Big Hit's marketing decision to actually stay patient until the US started calling them actually something that should be taught in future music marketing classes or K-pop classes in university. I really feel that studying Big Hit Entertainment as well as BTS's Rise actually has a lot of marketing lessons attached to it. Now that we're done with the 15 traits, now let's talk about when I first thought when BTS would become big through my personal experience. No one knew, including myself, knew that BTS would be huge. Like, we just didn't know that. We knew that they had a cool concept. All anyone pretty much concentrated on was EXO. And BTS was the underdog. It's kind of shocking to say that now, but back then they had a cool concept, but they were still raw. So we fast forward to next year, 2014, and BTS goes to KCON 2014. And yeah, there was a lot of fans there, and I wasn't there at KCON. I was in Seoul during that time. There was a lot of clamor for BTS because the army has grown. 2015 happened, and they had a slew of awesome songs, but 2016 is when I really felt BTS's presence. I really felt that, wow, these guys are coming onto their own. And I remember the time when I was in the 2016 Melon Music Awards, and EXO was expected to win pretty much all the male boy band awards, but BTS actually took Album of the Year award for the most beautiful moment in life, Young Forever album. And I remember when the announcement came that BTS actually won a day song. Because everyone was expecting EXO and BTS won, and the group was so shocked. The fans were shocked, and BTS was shocked. You had the group come up there, and Namjoon, being the leader, he does a speech in Korean. I remember that was the first time in 2016 at that Melon that BTS has arrived. That was the first time I thought to myself, okay, Big Bang is going to the army pretty soon. So it would have left EXO alone as the premier boy group in K-pop. But after seeing BTS win those two awards, I remembered, wow, EXO, you got serious competition now. And fast forward to 2017, and you guys know the rest. And to even have a more recent example, 2 weeks ago, I was at this tapioca boba place in California drinking, tapioca drinks with my friend. The discussion veered over to BTS because my friend was a huge ARMY. As I said the 3 golden letters, BTS, a group of teenagers from across the room that were about to leave this tapioca boba place turned their heads in 90-degree angle towards our table and say, "You say BTS? We know them, we love them." And for 2 minutes, we started talking to these teenagers who we didn't even know about BTS. BTS, you're slowly creeping up on US mainstream. For me, not only do I just want to see BTS do well, I want to see K-pop do well. I want to see Korean pop culture, as well as Asian pop culture, do well around the world. And lastly, if you don't believe my word, you should probably take it from a person a lot more knowledgeable about Korean music, and that's Tablo from Epic High. And Tablo says this about BTS. Call it what you want, but Big Bang, Psy, and BTS have leaped over heavily guarded barriers. Respect is due. Psy also mentioned on social media he's passing down the Hallyu Wave torch to BTS. It looks like that BTS's musical career has taken them to new heights where that just 4 years ago they could have never dreamed they would ever achieve. But I feel to BTS, they'll always think of themselves as the underdogs, and that it took blood, sweat, and tears to get where they are today. Oh yes, pun intended. I want to give the proper thanks for people that have helped me in the research of this video. Now, I've used many sources for this video, including Google Search, Naver, which is basically the Korean Google, Daum, which is another search engine in Korea, various Korean news and media sources, but the most valuable research and feedback that I got came from the Bangtan or BTS subreddit on Reddit. They've helped me so much in fleshing out the details of this video and telling me the nuances and little things that only an ARMY would know. And if it wasn't for the Bangtan subreddit, this video would have not been possible. So thank you. And thank you for the other people that I've consulted privately on this video as well. So if you reached the end of this video, congratulations. I know this video was long, but I hope you guys enjoyed this and maybe learned something new as I have myself when doing this research. So what do you guys think about BTS? Are you an ARMY? Are you a fan of BTS? Or are you a non-K-pop fan but recently heard of BTS? I'd love to know your comments in the comments below. And if you guys want my free ebook on what it was like being a K-pop journalist in Seoul as a foreigner, please sign up for my email list and download the free ebook below. And with that being said, I'm off to watch another K-pop music video, but I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, guys.